The cafe was quiet that afternoon, sunlight spilling gently through the glass windows, painting golden streaks across the worn wooden tables. Lily sat there nervously, glancing at the door every few seconds, regretting every choice that had led her here. It wasn't like her to agree to blind dates, but her best friend had insisted, "He's a good man, single dad, kind heart. Just talk to him." Yet the moment she walked in, she knew it was a mistake. The man sitting across from her, tall and reserved in a navy suit, didn't smile. His eyes were kind but distant, like someone who'd built walls too high for anyone to climb. "You must be Lily," he said politely, standing to shake her hand. "I'm Daniel." His voice was deep, calm, but carried a weight she couldn't name. They ordered coffee, exchanged small talk, and for a while, everything felt painfully awkward. He seemed distracted, glancing at his watch more than once, and she felt foolish for even trying. She was about to excuse herself when a small voice suddenly cut through the air. "Daddy!" A little girl, no older than 6, ran up to the table, her curls bouncing as she clutched a small stuffed bunny. Daniel's entire face softened the moment he saw her, the kind of tenderness that can't be faked. "Hey, pumpkin," he said, lifting her gently into his lap. The girl looked at Lily with wide, curious eyes, bright, intelligent, and full of life. "Is this her?" she asked quietly, tilting her head. Lily blinked, confused. "Her who?" Daniel looked stunned, almost speechless, as the little girl whispered, "The lady from your story." There was a silence so heavy that Lily felt the air leave her chest. "What story?" she asked softly, half smiling, half afraid. The girl hugged her bunny tighter and said, "The one Daddy tells me before bed. The one about the girl who made him smile again." Daniel's expression froze. His eyes met Lily's, and something unspoken passed between them, something that made her heart race and her doubts fade all at once. Daniel's throat tightened. That story had been something he told his daughter Emma on the nights she missed her mother. A gentle fiction about hope, about meeting someone who could make them both whole again. He had never imagined it would spill into reality. "Emma," he said quietly, brushing her hair back. "That was just a bedtime story." But the little girl shook her head stubbornly. "No, Daddy, you said she had kind eyes and a sad smile. She looks just like her." Lily's breath caught. She didn't know what to say, whether to laugh, cry, or run. But when Daniel looked at her again, his composure cracked. "I'm sorry," he murmured, embarrassed. "I didn't mean for—" "It's okay," she interrupted softly. "She's sweet." And in that moment, something in the air shifted. As the minutes passed, the awkward silence turned into gentle laughter. Emma insisted Lily sit beside her and started asking questions in the way only a child can, innocent yet piercing. "Do you like pancakes?" "Daddy burns his." "Do you like dogs?" "We have one, but Daddy says he's fat." Lily laughed for the first time that day, and Daniel found himself watching her, not the way a man looks at a stranger, but like someone remembering what it feels like to breathe. Emma's energy filled the space with warmth, bridging every gap between them. It wasn't a date anymore. It felt like fate quietly rearranging itself. When the cafe began to close, Lily stood up to leave, unsure what to say. "It was nice meeting you both," she said, but Emma clung to her hand. "Can you come again, Miss Lily?" "Daddy smiles when you're here." Daniel tried to protest, flustered, but Lily simply smiled and nodded. "Maybe one day," she said, touching Emma's shoulder gently before walking out. As she disappeared through the door, Daniel exhaled slowly. Emma looked up at him and whispered, "She's the one, Daddy." He chuckled softly. "You think so?" "I know so," she said with a conviction only a child could have. He didn't answer, but deep down he felt something stir that he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Days turned into weeks, but Lily couldn't stop thinking about that afternoon. There was something about Daniel. His quiet sadness, his careful words, his little girl's unshakable belief, that haunted her. Then one evening, as she was closing up her small flower shop, the doorbell chimed. There he was, Daniel, holding a small bouquet that looked hilariously uneven. "You're terrible at picking flowers," she teased. He smiled sheepishly. "That's why I came to the expert." They talked for hours long after the shop closed. He told her about his wife, how cancer had taken her too soon, leaving him to raise Emma alone. "I thought I could survive on work," he said quietly. "But my daughter keeps reminding me I need more than that." That night was the beginning of something neither of them planned. He started visiting her shop more often, sometimes to buy flowers, sometimes just to talk. Emma would come too, giggling as she arranged petals and told Lily school stories. Slowly, love began to grow in the quiet spaces between their words, in the shared coffee, the late-night walks, the way Emma would grab both their hands without thinking. One evening, Lily found a small drawing in her shop window, 3 stick figures holding hands. Above them, in a child's handwriting, it said, "Me, Daddy," and "Miss Lily." She pressed the paper to her chest and cried softly, realizing she'd already become part of their little family. Months later, on a bright spring morning, Daniel took her back to the same cafe where they first met. He looked nervous, his usual confidence gone. "Do you remember the story I told Emma?" he asked. Lily nodded. "About the girl who made you smile again?" He reached across the table and took her hand. "I stopped telling her that story," he said softly, "because it's not a bedtime story anymore. It's real." Her breath caught as he slid a small velvet box across the table. "Will you help me finish it, Lily? Will you be the ending I never thought I'd have?" Tears filled her eyes as Emma appeared from behind the counter, holding a flower crown she'd made herself. "Say yes, Miss Lily," she giggled, "so we can be a real family." Lily couldn't speak. She just nodded through tears, pulling Daniel and Emma into her arms. The cafe erupted in applause, strangers smiling at the sight of 3 hearts finding home. That night, as they walked hand in hand beneath the soft glow of the streetlights, Emma looked up at her father and whispered, "See, Daddy? I told you she was the one from your story." Daniel laughed, his voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, sweetheart," he said, looking at Lily with all the love in the world. "And you helped me find her. Because sometimes, the greatest love stories aren't found in fairy tales. They're written quietly, in the laughter of a child, the courage to try again, and the unexpected moment when a stranger becomes family."